No. Hey, good people. Welcome back to Beauty in the Frizz. My name is Kara, and whether you're new or returning, thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me today. We are going to be taking a deeper look into Moonlit Seduction, Mothership 10 by Pat McGrath. We're going to do 2 looks. We're going to look at some comparisons. We're going to dupe out VR Sextasy. I've talked to many of you who are asking about some possible dupes that are in indie singles as well as palettes. So we're going to explore all of that in this video. And if it sounds good to you, keep on watching and definitely let me know what you think. And if makeup is your therapy and your love, if it makes you happy and you want to hang out with someone that feels the same way, definitely consider joining. I'd love to have you back. All right, let's get started. First of all, I really want to thank you guys for the support, like with the first Pat McGrath video. As I said in that video, that was a rare moment where I was outside pulling weeds and the palette showed up and I could stop and record, and I got my review up really quickly. And so what I was hoping for, and the reason that I rushed to do that, because I don't do that a lot or have the opportunity to do that a lot, but there were just no real swatches. So I really wanted to get it out there because so many people were saying like, I like it, but I can't tell what it looks like. You know, I just want to see what the swatches look like without the filter and things like that. So not only that, but Pat McGrath commented on my video, and when I premiered it, there were like 129 people in the chat, and I just felt really humble. Like, I couldn't believe it. I really could not. So I just want to say thank you to you guys, because this really is like makeup therapy and it makes me happy. And the other thing is, when I can help other people, and I have come to know a lot about Pat McGrath and the different palettes and things like that. So when I can be helpful about any type of product, I really love doing that. So thank you guys. I just wanted to share that. And like, I don't take anything for granted that is happening on this channel, because it's like our channel. That's how I feel like it's ours, not mine. So we're going into Mothership 10, taking a deeper dive. If you want my first impression and the swatches and all of that, just like the information about the palette, I did lid swatches so you could really see the difference between the shades, which is when I realized like that those 2 mattes are like basically the same, things like that. I will link that video so you can go back and take a look. But if not, we're gonna get into 2 looks today and the comparisons. And again, I'm comparing palettes with similar color stories that I have in my collection. I am looking at similarities between Pat McGrath's own palettes, and then we're going to try to dupe out VR Sextasy, which is this special shade that's kind of the star of the show. We're going to see if I have those in singles, or do I have this shade present in any other palettes. There have been some suggestions of some shades, and I do have some of them. If you only want to see certain parts of the video, I am putting the timestamps in the description box, so you can just fast forward to where you want. And you know what? I didn't even say it, y'all, because I was just so taken aback. It is Sunday, and it's Mimosas and Makeup, and I have no mimosa. That's a damn shame. This is Mimosas and Makeup number 87, I believe. So I am really happy. Now, I'm gonna make sure I have a mimosa when we're talking in the chat. I'll let you know what that is in the chat. I'm kind of on a roll. Let's go ahead and dive into the first look. The way I'm gonna do the looks today is I'm gonna come with one eye done and then, you know, build the other eye. I'll do that with both looks, and then we'll get into the fun stuff, the analytical stuff. All right, here we go. All right, you guys, we're gonna get into this first look. We'll do that in a second. But for both of these looks, I'm wearing the same base products, so I wanna share those with you now. As my primer, I have on the Natasha Denona High-Gen Skin Glass Primer Serum. On top of that, I have the Pat McGrath Foundation in the shades M17 and M15. I do have on the Pat McGrath Concealer. I'm also wearing the Pat McGrath Blurring Under Eye Powder in yellow, because Pat McGrath doesn't have a bronzer yet. I think it's coming. I have on the Chanel Le Beige, what is this? Healthy Glow bronzer. And this is in Sunbath Deep. For blush, I am wearing the Pat McGrath Divine Blush in Paradise Venus, very lightly. I did put on a highlighter, and I didn't mean to do that because I'm also using the Skin Show shade. That's not what it's called, in Skin Tints shade. So I am gonna demo that. But I'm wearing from this Pat McGrath highlighter palette, which no one ever talks about anymore, but it's really good. This is Bronze Nectar 001, so that's what I have on. For lips, I have the Pat McGrath Lust Gloss in the shade Alien Gelic. And what else? Oh, primer, eye primer. This is by Glamlight, the icing primer in the shade Buttercream. So now we can go ahead and get into this first look. So the first shade I'm gonna go into is Plum Cabaret. I'm using this on an MSQ blending brush. This brush set came from Amazon. I'll link that in the description box. They are very, very, very cheap brushes, but they work really, really nicely. So let's zoom on in. I didn't even show you the eye look, so let me just show you the look first. So that's my attempt to do the halo situation. So I'm gonna go ahead into Plum Cabaret. And I am gonna go ahead and start on the inner portion of the eye. And I'm just gonna bring it up. And I'm gonna skip the middle part of the lid. Just like that. Then I'm gonna go to the outer part of the eye. And I'm kind of gonna be going like at a diagonal a little bit, like that. And it's not, if you don't get it like perfect or you get some on the middle, that's okay. I'm just gonna go ahead and blend this outwards and upwards. And then I'm not even taking any more on the brush yet, but I'm just going to connect the inner part of the lid with the outer. And you can still see there's kind of that opening there, which is where we're gonna put the metallic shade. And that's pretty much how I'm gonna leave it. And I may come back and use it to fix up. But next we're gonna go into Platinum Dusk. I think Platinum Dusk probably is one of my favorite shades. And I've said for a long time, the metallics that Pat McGrath does are just some of my favorites. And for a long time, and they probably still are preferred over the Astrals. These Astrals are super, super sparkly. So I'm not, the jury's out on my overall feelings. And it's funny because when I did my lid swatches, I talked about how the Plum Cabaret and Rosewood Romantique really remind me of something in the Natasha Denona Retro palette. And I heard some of you say that too in the chat. I'm just taking my brush and just kind of blending this. I'm gonna put a little more of Plum Cabaret on too. And this Platinum Dusk reminds me, not only Platinum Dusk, but the look, the second look that I'm gonna create really reminds me of Natasha Denona Glam, kind of. So this is like a mix to me of both of those palettes. And Dr. Ash and Yadi and I, we were talking about just how much this is a nice mix of both of those palettes. So if you like retro and you like Natasha Denona Glam, this is gonna be the perfect match. So you kind of see we do have a bit of a halo situation, and it's not super precise, which is because I don't like super precise, but I love these two colors together. They look really, really nice. I'm gonna take a crease brush from MSQ, and I'm gonna go into Rosewood Romantique for the under eye. This is a very easy look. Once you get your placement of those shadows for the little halo thing, which is really not hard. The rest of the eye look is easy. I'm just connecting it, bringing it all the way over. And honestly, these two mattes, and I said it in the original, I just wish that she left one of these out Rosewood Romantique, the one that I'm using right now, you'll see in the lid swatches in the original video, you can build these up to look almost exactly the same. To me, they look different when you diffuse them out, but if you're using them as smoke shades, or even right here on the under eye, they look exactly the same. So that's just something to note. So there's the under eye, and we need an inner corner and a brow bone. So for the inner corner, I'm going into VR Sextasy, and I'm using this brush from Luxie Cosmetics, I believe. And I am just gonna take this flat shader and just tap it in here. Now, some people may not prefer this type of shimmer for the inner corner. I happen to like it because it's still bright. Now what I did do is I went into the lilac shade, which is called Astral Lilac Aura. And I did just take a little bit of that sparkle and put it on top. That's all I did. Now I'm gonna go into Skin Tints Glow, same brush, that's this one here. And I'm gonna go ahead and use that in the brow bone as I always do. Oh, one of my subbies, because I asked, I said, well, how do you use the Skin Show shades? So one of my subbies who said that they had very pale skin actually uses the Skin Show shade as a blend out. Did y'all ever think about that? Because I didn't. So I just wanted to put that out there. I might have been the last person on the train, and that's fine. But I'm on now. So I think that this could be a really great blend out shade, and I'm gonna have to try that. Not today. But then I did have someone else say that they use it as a highlight. So look, can you see it right there? I did already put it on. So look. Oh, what a nice highlight. You see it on my nose? Now, I look like I'm in the moonlight, for real. I'm into it. So thank you to the two of you who gave me those suggestions. The best suggestion. That's from First Wives Club. I say that like here and there sometimes. I can't remember the whole movie, but I love that part. Best suggestion. This might be the best highlight I got. This is good. Huh. I don't care. This is a lot here. I don't care. All right, here's a look, y'all. Here it is. Let me know what y'all think. So I'm gonna finish this look by using a ColourPop liner from their Wine and Only collection. Any burgundy liner will do, but this one is called Why Not? Why Not? And just a thin layer. Really going into the lashes with it, tapping it in to make a thin line. You might not even be able to tell from here, and that is just quite all right. Damn, I really like this look. Like this one, just to make the lashes stand out. And I did put this kind of in the lower lashes. I didn't really get it in the waterline too much, but you could do that too. I was just trying to use a different product because I always go for my Charlotte Tilbury's Mesmerizing Maroon Liner, which that's one of those double-ended ones, and I use the matte side. But I really do enjoy my ColourPop liners very much, so I just wanted to give this one a little love and show it that I still remember it, because those Charlotte Tilbury liners are like, oh, I love them so very much. Yep. And then last but not least, I have the They're Real mascara from Benefit. Gonna slap on a few coats of that and we're gonna be done. Y'all, hold on. So Beyonce came out today, or yeah, at midnight. She didn't come to play with anybody. She didn't. That album is fire. I'm telling you, even if you don't like Beyonce, you're gonna like this album. If you wanna dance, if you need to clean the house, if you're not feeling confident, this album is gonna do it for you. I have been waiting. Beyonce hasn't put out a solo album since 2016. So this has really, oh my God. I woke up at 3 in the morning and just put the phone by my ear. That probably wasn't healthy, but I did. I like every song I've heard so far, but I need to go back and listen to those ones that I had put on at like 3 a.m. because I don't remember. I just remember I liked it. She's amazing. Oh, which means I might need to go on a no-buy because I need to save up because Beyonce can drop tickets. She can drop a show at any time. I can go on a no-buy for Beyonce. Yes, I will. And the cover of the album, she is sitting on this horse and she's got this like silver situation. Oh my God, yeah. Look at this look, y'all. You know, Pat McGrath also doesn't come to play. So I know. I've talked my talk about this palette and I still will. But I never said it wasn't going to be a good palette or that I wasn't going to like the looks. Just want a little bit different color, that's it. But it's a great palette, great quality. So this is the look. Let me know what you think about it. I've done now 3. You are going to see one more in a minute. Filmed that yesterday though, so it's kind of out of order, whatever. I like these looks. I like all 3. I really do. So this is nothing I can really say. All right. So what we're going to do now is we're going to get into a second look and then we're going to get into just digging into my collection, comparison palettes, comparison Pat palettes, and dupes for VR Sextasy. So let's get into that now. All right, you guys, so we are gonna get into this last and final look with Mothership 10. There's August. You can say hi. Let me show it to you up close. Oh, not that eyebrow like that. August, wow, August is right here. Okay. Okay, that's a lot. So I'm just gonna show you, I don't know why I zoomed back out like that, but I'm gonna show you how I created this look. I like it. It's very like going on a date at home. All right, so can you hand me that box? Yeah, you don't have to smash it.
I'm not smashing it.
You are. That's too much. So first we're gonna go into Rosewood Romantique, and I'm gonna do a very light wash on the lid. There, I can't. I have a BK Beauty A503 brush, and I'm just gonna go ahead and tap this in the transition area. I'm really not trying to build up a lot of pigment here. I just really want this to be a wash of color because I want the star to be, what is it called? Extreme Nocturne. So, I mean, I'm just pretty much leaving it like this. I just need something to kind of merge with the brown. So I'm just leaving it like that. And now I'm gonna go into Extreme Nocturne and put that in the outer corner. I'm gonna bring it up and I'm gonna try to just have it blend seamlessly with Rosewood Romantique. That's a nice blend already.
Mom, I do this, does it look like my eyes are gone?
Yeah, it does. Now I'm gonna come back to this shade and smoke it a little more. But for right now, I think this looks pretty good. Next, I'm gonna go into Bronze Devotion just with my finger. And I'm gonna place that on the first part of the lid, just going over enough to meet up with Extreme Nocturne. Just like that. So I know I covered some of it up, but I am going to fix that. So I'm gonna switch brushes. I'm taking the BK Beauty A502 brush, going into Extreme Nocturne, and now I am building that shade up in the outer corner and taking it over into the crease. I feel like I could blend this over a little more. I think you can stop with the shimmer here, but if you want a little bit of something extra, then you can take the shade, let me tell you, Astral Gold Lust. which is this special shade. And you can go ahead, and I did this on this eye just a little bit. I just took it on my finger and tapped it over top of Bronze Devotion. But maybe you don't want that extra glitter, which is totally fine. But it just gives an extra sparkle. All right, so now that I have the top of the lid done, or the eye, I'm gonna take this brush from Bodyography Pro back into Extreme Nocturne, and I am going to take this from the outer corner, and I'm gonna take it all the way across. I'm keeping this pretty close to the lash line. I don't want to drag it down or bring it down or anything like that, because I don't want it to look like I don't want to look like a raccoon. I might look like a raccoon right now, and that's okay. And then lastly, to finish up, well, actually it's not lastly, I'm going to use this brush right here from Morphe. It is kind of a little detail brush, and I am going to go into the shade Blitz Venus, which is this one here. I'm going to take this shade and I'm going to place it in the inner corner. And last but not least, I'm going to finish up the look by going into Skin Tense Glow. Same brush, and I'm just going to highlight here on the brow bone arch. Just right here. I went up a little bit higher with the shadow on this eye, but I still put it over here anyway. I'm taking a brown liner from ColourPop. It looks like this. I think it goes very well with Extreme Nocturne. I'm gonna do the thinnest layer on the top lid. I just kind of do that to fill in the spaces between my lashes. I don't really care for the liner to be seen up top because I have hooded eyes, and I have learned, especially when I first learned to do my makeup, if I make the line too thick, it's just not gonna work out. You won't see because you won't see the look that I created. All I'll see when I open my eyes will be the liner. So it's just a very thin line, and I think that just gives definition to the lashes. Mascara today is They're Real by Benefit Cosmetics, and I'm just gonna go ahead and apply that. I think during Pat McGrath's next sale, which I know will be coming, I am gonna replace my Dark Star mascara. I did enjoy that mascara, but I always seem to have a lot of mascaras that I'm working through. I don't like to have like a bunch of mascaras open at one time or anything like that. So I did finish that. I had Fetish eyes as well. I don't know the difference between the two, but I do remember both of the mascaras being nice. So I may get another one during a sale. Oh, I also might get the Essence, and I talk smack about that Essence until I got the sample. The sample came with this palette. It is so dewy. Like anything that has a glowy finish, it's like I cannot resist. And it does. It's like really milky. And then you put it on and like your skin is just glowing. So I might want to get that if it goes on sale. So here is the finished look. And I know in the beginning of the video, I mentioned everything that's on my face, so everything is still the same. So what do I think about this look? I love this look. To me, this look is glam. This look is date night. It's sultry. It's sexy. I think I'm really into this because the rosewood shade that I used is very, very subtle. Like I really just wanted it to be a wash. With her having two very, very similar mattes as transition shades, I think that really dampened the variety of looks that you're going to be able to make using this palette alone. So this is a way to do that. Honestly, I probably could have skipped using Rosewood Romantique and just used the Extreme Nocturne and I could have possibly blended it out well enough that it was a transition shade too, but I just didn't want to take that chance. I do like how this looks, and I'm not bothered by the rosewood shade here because to me it's very, very light and very subtle. It's not a pink look. The other thing I want to say is you don't have to add the sparkly shade. I have talked to some people and they're like, you know, one of the things that is deterring them is the amount of the sparkly shades, and you know, some people aren't into sparkly shades. I think the look was just fine without using the astral shade. I also really am liking the Skin Tints Glow in the brow bone arch, and I always use her Skin Show shades in the brow bone arch. So yes, y'all, let me know what you think about this look. So next we're gonna be a little analytical. I'm gonna look at some palettes in my collection that I think give off a similar vibe that some of you all have actually mentioned, and I do wanna put them side by side so we can see whether or not, like in reality, do they give off that cool vibe that the Mothership 10 has. I also want to look at some of Pat McGrath's palettes side by side so that we can just see some of the similarities and similar shades. And then the last thing that I want to do is I want to look at VR Sextasy. I want to see if there are some comparison shades in palettes that I have, as well as some indie singles, hopefully in that order. So let's get into that now. All right, so one of you mentioned the Cashmerie palette by Viseart, and I recently coincidentally ordered this palette. I have not used it yet, so let me show it to you. And here's what it looks like, and now I'm going to show it to you next to the Mothership 10. Here are the palettes side by side, and this is what I think. I think that if you don't like the sparkly intense shimmers, the Cashmerie palette is going to be an excellent option, as well as a less expensive option. The Viseart shadows are amazing, and it looks like you can get the exact same color story. You can always purchase a single that looks like the VR Sextasy shade if that's something special to you that you want. Other than that, I think these color stories are very, very similar, and I think it would be a great option. When I looked at this, I really couldn't believe how similar this palette is. And honestly, I think you have more options with the Viseart palette. This is smaller. I think it is travel friendly, and like with the smaller pans, you know what I mean? This is just gonna be something easier to take along with you. So this is a really, really nice option. Now, I don't have a lot of cool tone palettes in my collection, so I don't have a lot of comparisons. The second palette that someone mentioned to me was the ABH Sultry palette, and I'm gonna show you that next. I am not even sure if this palette is still available. Now, I think overall, this palette does have some similarities, but there are a lot of differences in this palette. But one of the things that I think are really great in this palette are the shimmers, and they're shimmery but they're not glittery. So let's look at these two side by side. The color story of Sultry is not as close as the Viseart color story. However, I do see a lot of similarities, and I do think that you can get some similar looks. The Sultry palette is missing the plum mattes. You have that bright pink shade, or it's kind of a melony shade, bright pink melony shade. But you do have like the deep brown, you've got a black, you've got a gray. So again, a bit more options when it comes to transitions, and I think similar shimmers. The ABH shimmer formula is not gonna be the glittery Blitz Astral formula that the Pat McGrath palettes have. And I have seen a mix. Like, some people like the sparkly glittery shadows and some people don't. It seems to be half and half as far as people that I talk to. So I just wanted to share those options, because honestly, if you're not gonna use the 4 special shades at the end, I think it's a waste of money, because we all know that Pat McGrath, as I'm about to show you, has a lot of these types of shadows in her other palettes. So if you're not going to use the special shades, I would say skip it and look for like the Viseart palette or even Sultry. Yeah, You can always enhance the palettes that you have with singles if you're into singles. But I do know that a lot of people are not into singles. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna show you a few of Pat's palettes. We're gonna just look, I'm not gonna swatch all of the mauve shades because I think that the differences in those shades are so minute that on the eye, it is gonna look the same anyway. First, we're gonna start with some motherships. We're gonna start with Divine Rose 1. And actually, I was helping one of my friends here on YouTube, K Bella Beauty, and she was looking into a mothership and she was saying she was torn between Divine Rose 1 and then Mothership 10. I was about to say Divine Rose 10. And let's look at these side by side. I think these color stories are very similar. The Extreme Nocturne shade in Mothership 10 definitely goes deeper than the brown that's in Divine Rose 1. Also, I will say that the special shades are not as sparkly. And I believe these are that baked formula, I believe. So this special shade right here has that more sparkly effect that the special shades in the Mothership 10 have, but the other three are very, very smooth. They are not like the other special shades that are in Mothership 10. When you look at the rest of the palette, minus the special shades, you still have this mauve kind of neutral palette with a brown. So I think choosing between these would come down to whether or not you like sparkly special shades. I'm gonna show Divine Rose 2, but Divine Rose 2 and Mothership 10 are completely different, well, for the most part, but there still is a mauve matte or a plum matte, and you can see that there. And then you have this kind of light peachy blushy shade in this palette. You have the duochrome VR Sextasy, but this is a more warm, vibrant palette. You got the yellow gold there, whereas this gold is, it's not a yellow gold. So these don't really have many overlaps, but I just wanted to show you that there still is a plum shade in this palette as well. We're gonna take a look now at the Utopian Dream palette. I'm not gonna call it Utopian Scheme. All right, so here we have both palettes together. We do have a couple of mauve shades here. So we can see that this is definitely a characteristic of Pat McGrath's palettes recently. So yeah, I don't think that these are similar at all. And as much as I complain about Utopian Dream, it is a very, very beautiful palette. I will say that. And so is this one. And I said in my review, whether I am a huge fan of the color story or not, they are gorgeous palettes and the quality is fantastic. But now what I want to do is I want to look at some of her other palettes, some of her quads. We're going to look at Bridgerton, and then we're going to get into dupes for VR Sextasy. All right, let's take a gander at Bronze Borealis. I can't remember when she released these, but Bronze Borealis I remember getting on sale because she had like this sale, and then on Instagram you could get like an extra 25% off or something. So I got the 2 quads for like 60 bucks. So let's take a look. Here is Bronze Borealis. It definitely has those Divine Rose vibes. And I'm just want you to compare this to the upper portion of Mothership 10. To me, this is super, super close. Let's now also take a look at Deep Space Divinity, and here it is. Very similar, and I will be swatching Alien Moon and comparing that to VR Sextasy shortly. Next, we're gonna take a look at Bridgerton 1. This one is called Diamond of the First Water. So you see there's those mauve mattes. They look almost identical to me. I will swatch Regency Blue next to VR Sextasy. We're gonna look at Bridgerton 2, and this is Belle of the Ball. Here they are side by side. Again, you have those plum mattes. I did pull out Celestial Odyssey, which was the holiday palette from last year. We have kind of this deep plum matte, mauvey mattes here all throughout. I know some of them are lighter than what is in the Mothership 10, but there's definitely, you know, that same kind of mauvey, plummy vibe in this palette as well. If you look at these two palettes side by side, Celestial Odyssey is very, very warm, and Mothership 10 to me is just very cool. So I think that if you have this, you can still get this. I don't think they really overlap too much. The last one I want to show you is Venus and Floor's Voyeuristic Vixen. There it is. This is one of her absolute best quads. So here we are side by side again. So it's like a lot of these could be extensions of each other because there are a lot of similarities between the palettes. And you can see that this is from Divine Rose onward. We have a lot of these similarities. Prior to Divine Rose, every Mothership just had a completely different color story and theme. And I think that is why her stands, we're waiting for the next theme to drop, because we've now had 4 Motherships in a row where it's kind of been similar vibes. But then we also have these releases in between where the vibe is still very, very similar as well. So now don't get me wrong, I will not give up my Pat McGrath palettes. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not giving them up. I still love them all. So now what we're gonna do is I'm gonna show you some swatches, yes, of shades that I think are very comparable to VR Sextasy, and some swatches of some shades that you all have mentioned from palettes that I just happen to have, and then we'll close out this video. So first I'm gonna start by swatching VR Sextasy. Such a beautiful shade, yes y'all. I'm going to swatch it here. I may be swatching it again just so it can go side by side with some of the comparison shades. Going back to Deep Space Divinity and going into Alien Moon. Now I've already swatched this. The texture and the shimmer on this shade is totally different, but I know I had some people say, oh, this kind of reminds me of that shade. To me, they're completely different. Now they do kind of have that reddish flip in them, but different shade, different texture, completely different formula. I didn't have anybody mention the blue shade in Bridgerton, but I am gonna swatch it because Regency Blue is an astral shade, and it does have the sparkle, but it doesn't have the tone. And there's Regency Blue, but Regency Blue is closer than Alien Moon. Regency Blue though is not really a duochrome, it's just a very sparkly blue shade. So that's it for the Pat palette comparisons. I'm gonna swatch it again, and we're gonna look at a couple palettes that I have. The first palette is from Menagerie. This is an indie brand. I love this brand so much. And we're gonna look at Ink Defense. And that's the first shade I thought of when I swatched VR Sextasy. Ink Defense is one of the best shades in this palette. Yes, y'all, look at Ink Defense. So Ink Defense is, I mean, it is pretty spot on. So this palette is sold out, but y'all, I can't even talk about it right now. I don't know if they're bringing it back. They need to bring it back. It's so good. I also had someone mention Scarab from Tiny Marbles. Now, this shade is different, but it does have that green brown flip. I feel like Scarab is gonna remind me more of Alien Moon, but let's just swatch it and see what we think. And a couple other things I'd like to share about Tiny Marbles. All right, so this is the Menagerie shade here, and there's VR Sextasy, and there's Scarab. I mean, I think, I don't know. It has a similarity, but the opaqueness of Scarab is a little bit different This is more like airy. I don't know if that makes sense. What I wanted to share though about Tiny Marvels is you have that beautiful kind of plummy shade, and you also have this shade right here, Web. Web is just like, I was gonna say Skintastic again, Skin Tints Glow. They are almost identical, I think. So let's see. We have Web and Skin Tints Glow. Look at that. This, I can't talk about it right now. I'll have to find another opportunity. Last but not least, I have 4 indie singles. 3 are by Cleona and 1 is from Divina. And let's just see how these compare to VR Sextasy. And maybe if VR Sextasy is the shade that you like, you can purchase one of these. I believe all 4 of these shades are still available, and you could put that with one of your other Pat McGrath palettes or any palette, and you know, you don't have to spend the $128, because this palette, the VR Sextasy is not worth the entire palette, in my opinion. And that's just because I do have a lot of indie eyeshadow singles and indie palettes that, like as you saw with the Menagerie one, that have that shade or shades close to it, even like Tiny Marvels. So just get the shade, you know what I mean? If you're not wowed by the entire thing, there's no need to spend such an amount of money. So I'm putting VR Sextasy here. The first shade I had someone mention to me was Abrasion. Abrasion is by Cleona. It is one of their stained glass shadows. And that's what it looks like. Let me zoom in. So Abrasion to me, kind of, what is this? A lavendery, kind of bluish purple here. I mean, I see hints of similarities here. It does have that shift, like look right here. You see it, like that reddish deep shift. I don't think this is an exact dupe, but I think it is very close, and I think it could give you the same effect that VR Sextasy has. The other shade someone mentioned was Grisaille. This is another stained glass shade by Cleona. I'm gonna put Grisaille above VR Sextasy. Grisaille is really close. Look how close Grisaille is. Yeah, I think Grisaille is the better dupe, because see, that's a little bit off, but Grisaille, super, super close. I'm going to swatch VR Sextasy again down here, and I have 2 more to show you. The third shade I have is the shade Shard. This is another stained glass. Let's take a look at this one and see how it compares. We're gonna put it above. Now, no, I think this one, let's see. This one has a lot more blue in it and a lot more opaqueness. However, it still kind of has that deep shift here that VR Sextasy has. See right there? This is just a bit deeper. Still a really beautiful shade nonetheless. And you know, if anything, you're seeing some other beautiful duochromes that, you know, you may like. Now, the last shade I have is from Divina Cosmetics, and this is the shade Messier. And there's what it looks like. I'm gonna swatch this below VR Sextasy. Okay, I think this is pretty close. I think out of everything that I showed you, Messier and Grisaille, these 2 are super close as far as dupes for VR Sextasy. So the dupes are out there. The Cleona shades, the stained glass ones, are gonna run you in the $20-ish range plus shipping from Canada. So I would suggest that if you like the Cleona shades, wait until Black Friday when they have their sale, because you will really save a lot of money during the sale. Divina, I can't remember how much Messier was, because Messier might have come in a bundle, so I'm just not sure. But I will put the pricing information in the description box for these shades, so you know, and that you can plan if you know, there's something that you're interested in. But you can see that, and I don't want to say that VR Sextasy isn't unique, but what I think, and it was the same thing that I felt about VR Sextraterrestrial. When I bought Divine Rose 2 and swatched VR Sextraterrestrial, I had never experienced a shade like that. I did not have any indie singles, and my makeup collection was pretty small. It was nowhere near what it is now. But I have dupes for VR Sextraterrestrial. I have a lot. So the dupes are out there, and it's hard sometimes on the indie sites trying to figure out the flip and find them. And that's why when these shades are in palettes and you can just buy the palette, it's great because you don't have to do a whole bunch of figuring out. And that's why I'm hoping that these comparisons really helped you. So that's gonna be it. I think that's all I have for similar palettes, dupes, swatches, singles, all of that stuff. I just wanna show like all the options and alternatives if it's something that I have in my collection. So I'm still on the fence with how I feel about this palette. I don't dislike it, but I don't necessarily love it. I think this look and the looks that I created are gorgeous and beautiful, but they don't give me, if you've ever seen me get really excited about eyeshadow, which I do when I use certain shadows or make certain looks, I don't have that feeling, but I do think this is a very, very beautiful look and a really easy palette to work with. So I don't have like a final thought about the palette yet, but I do like the looks that I'm creating. And I think just Pat McGrath's products, because I'm wearing all of her stuff, I think it just looks really polished and really flawless. And I can really appreciate that. And I'm gonna stop saying really. So thank you so much for taking out some of your time and hanging out with me for another Mimosas and Makeup. I hope this was therapy for you. It always is for me. So until I see you again, make sure you are being gentle with yourself. Talk to yourself nice, stay safe, and I'll see y'all really soon. Bye.